Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's weekly bump. Thank you guys so much for being here. This week, as always, we have 3 piles. Pile 1, we are using a Celestite. Pile 2, we have a lemon calcite. Pile 3, we have a fluorite. So the way this works is you can just go ahead and pick a pile. Some of you prefer to pause the video to kind of allow yourself time to feel your way through it. Others of you like to just randomly select a pile, and that's also perfectly fine. I always say there's an element of destiny involved, regardless of which route you take. Timestamps for each pile will be found in the description box and the comment thread down below, so you can quickly jump from pile to pile. All right, see you in just a sec. Alrighty, pile number 1, you guys selected the Celestite, so let's go ahead and take a look. Let's see what comes through for you here for the week of July 25th. Let's see. Okay. 2 of Swords, we have the Moon, Death, 10 of Swords, and 9 of Wands. Okay. So, we do have this Mars coming conjunct Uranus and North Node right now in Taurus. This week, there's going to be some ample energy. And the 2 of Swords, it tells me that there's probably going to be something that you're going to have to decide or choose. And with the Moon energy here, I really think that your sense of security, your sense of just safety overall, and really what makes you feel the most like yourself. That's really the route that you're going to have to go. In the route that makes you feel the most like yourself. The route that feels the most like it's, I don't want to say like meant for you, but that feels the most right for you. And sometimes, that right choice can be a difficult choice, as we know. And I do think that there are going to be some difficult choices. Now, with Venus in Cancer right now and Mercury in Leo, when we have activity in the signs of the luminaries, especially like over the next couple days, right? Because we've got the Moon in Cancer right now, which is in rulership, and we have the Sun in rulership as well. So we have these, our 2 luminaries, both in rulership right now, which means that we are not misguided in any way, shape, or form. That when we are having conversations with ourselves, when we are weighing options or trying to think our way through something, this is not one of those times where we could possibly like psych ourselves out or get ourselves on the wrong track, because we're just so attuned with what it is that our inner self or our soul or our higher consciousness is ultimately wanting us to do, or ultimately the direction in which it wants us to head. Now we have this Death card, which does significate, if I could talk, or signify something coming to an end, something coming to a close, and that's definitely reinforced by the 10 of Swords. And I think with this Jupiter retrograde in Aries, there are just so many ways that we are reinventing ourselves. And it does mean that something needs to fall off. Something that you dedicated time to, you need to stop giving any time to at all. If you're trying to grow in one area, it's also likely that another area is shrinking. All right, so there is a little bit of a trade-off going on, I think, and and some of those trade-offs are a little bit more conscious, like you knew going in that you absolutely would need to make this sacrifice. Others, it may have been an unintended consequence of certain choices. And either way, doesn't matter. You're growing, you're changing, you're evolving, and the things that need to fall off are falling off. But you can't stand still anymore, right? And this is a conversation we've been having for quite some time. It's like we've known that 2022 really was a massive transition year. And to be honest, 23 and 24, I think, are going to be even bigger transition years as well. So the steps that we're taking now really is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to like the next 5 years, okay? It's just the tip of the iceberg, and we're just getting nudged very gently in certain directions. So if you can't really handle what's going on right now, then the next couple of years are going to be a little bit more challenging for you. But if you're embracing these changes and you're not afraid to take these risks, because I'll tell you what, this death card, this is a Scorpio card, right? And that Scorpio energy is all about operating in the more extreme and walking on that edge and not being afraid. I often envision like walking on the edge of a cliff, you know, and you're just like right there, like just a few inches away, and you look to the right and it's completely a cliff, and to your left it's just completely a cliff, you know, and it's just, you're right on that edge. But the people who are willing to walk that line are the people that will succeed the most. People who aren't afraid to fail financially, the people who aren't afraid to be rejected romantically, the people who are not afraid to, you know, like if you're an artist, right? It's like putting something on the canvas and there's that potential that it might look terrible, right? But you're still going to put your brush to the canvas nonetheless. So it's like you can't be afraid to give it a shot, give it a go. Because I look at this Nine of Wands and I see a very protected energy. Now, this could go one of two ways. On one hand, you could be protecting and keeping things out, and that may or may not be a good thing. And on the other hand, you may be protecting a very sacred process of change and transformation. You may be kind of going and doing things behind closed doors. You may not be very vocal or very loud about the stuff that you're going through, because you kind of want to, I don't know, get it done first and then talk about it. You want to do it first. You want to launch it first. You want to invest first. You want to improve in a certain way first. And then you'll start, you know, kind of saying, hey, but I also do this, and I also have learned this, and this is a new skill that I have, and this is a new, you know, business that I'm launching. This is a new relationship that I'm having, you know, whatever it is. It's like you want to get through that first hump of the initial part of the path, I guess we could say, before you start letting the world know about it. So this protection, it may not be so positive though if you are like trying to protect an old way of life and you're resisting the forces of death. There's one thing that we know about death, is that it's going to find us no matter where we are. And I don't mean like an actual death. I mean like a death of a part of you, a death of an identity, a death of an ego. You can't hide from it. You can try, but you can't really hide from it. Four of Cups. Beautiful. We have the moon and the sun. Like I was just saying, moon in rulership, sun in rulership. We have the Nine of Cups, Three of Coins, and the Knight of Coins. Beautiful. So it does tell me that you are building something with this Three of Coins. Now, sometimes I look at this Three of Coins and I often see like blueprints, you know, like the blueprints or the initial design of something, the initial plan, and kind of really embarking upon the plan. So the initial steps of the plan have already begun, as I see with the Knight of Coins. You know, I think you have a lot of hope, which is great. You should have hope. You know, I think right now hope is good for you guys because it fuels your optimism. It fuels your kind of law of attraction, positive attitude. You know, hope is a good thing when it is used to fuel faith and kind of your sense of expectation. Hope can be a little destructive when it fuels your fear. So you got to kind of know the difference. But I don't see fear in these cards, with the exception of like maybe this. But I don't really think that those of you who are here watching this are really going to engage in resisting this sort of transformation process. I know you're going to be a little bit picky right now. Like, I don't know how accessible you are. I really don't. I don't know that you're going to be someone that's like totally available to all people all the time. You're probably, letting your phone go to voicemail a little bit more than normal, or not answering texts right away, not answering or responding to your emails. You don't have that accessibility the way you normally do. And the things that people are offering, they have to be really, really, really specific in order for you to be interested in them. Sometimes with that Four of Cups, it's kind of like, it's like if you're like, we'll use like a dating example. That's what's coming to my mind. Like if you're dating, you could be dating really great people, but they don't really bring that extra something to the table. They may have all the stability in the world. They may be really good at what they do. They may have a lot of money and have really succeeded in that way. And they may have, a really great connection with their family and like all the things. Like they may check all the boxes, but just because they check all the boxes doesn't really mean that you're going to be interested, because there's nothing wrong with these cups here, right? These are beautiful cups, but your arms are still crossed. You're still not reaching out and grabbing, because you're taking I always call this your trophy case. You're taking your trophy case very seriously. You're not going to take just anything and put it on display, right? It has to be something that you're genuinely going to be proud about. And that's something with the Leo season that we need to be really aware of. And those of you who have Leo in your chart will completely understand this. And I don't have that much Leo in my chart. I only have one planet, but I have my Venus in there. I relate to my Venus a lot because I'm a Venus rising, right? I'm a Libra rising. So one thing about Leo that I know for sure is that they really do need that sense of pride in what they create, their pride in where they live, the pride in the people that they surround themselves with, the pride of what they're building, the pride of their products. It's all there. And that's the thing, is that as great as these cups are, having one of those cups doesn't instill that sense of pride. Because right now we want things that we can show off. We want things that set us apart from everybody else. We want the unique and the one-of-a-kind things. And attuning yourself to that is great, because that's what you're ultimately going to get. And maybe those are things that you denied yourself in the past. Maybe in the past you just went for the things that were readily available, and now you're being a little bit more picky than you have normally been. But being more picky is actually, in a way, good, because you're communicating more clearly with the universe and with those around you exactly what you want. If you're not picky, you're not going to get exactly what you want. And I don't know that the what we want is skewed right now, because sometimes we do have this sense of what we want, but it's completely clouded by, traumas, or clouded by trying to prove ourselves or whatever, and then it never is fulfilling. But our desires right now aren't like that, not during Leo season. They're a lot more pure than that. And not even Leo season, but also Mars and Taurus too, Saturn and Aquarius. Like, all these fixed energies are just giving me this raw authenticity. So you're building something incredible. You're curating, you're choosing, you're being a lot more selective, and you're protecting your transformation process here. And with this Knight of Coins, this is really your energy of just taking it day by day. I don't know that you are projecting so far out in the future, because it's more of like, how can I make today a success? How can I today, in this moment, align more steadfastly with that which I'm truly meant for, or that which feels the best, or that which feels the most right for me right now? And I think there's a lot of freedom coming through for you right now, because you are operating this way. It's just, you're freeing up your future. As much as, like, it's hard, because like in this matrix that we exist, right, in our culture, specifically if you are American, okay, now this may apply to anybody, but you'll know what I mean. like in our culture, in the American culture, it's so common to have like these life plan goals, right? It's like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? And it's so common to have like this life mission or for a mission for a business, right? These missions and these vision statements that we always have. And while those are fantastic for really going and achieving goals, sometimes it is those very things that keep us focused that in a weird way also imprison us. You can have a lot of success in that track. Like some of the most successful people I know are the people who set those visions and those 5 and 10 year plans, and they make really big, huge decisions on a daily basis to get them closer and closer and closer to this big thing. And they do, and they succeed, and they make a lot of money, and they get everything they want. But then when you really talk to them, they're like miserable. Not everybody, but a lot of people. And their marriages aren't what they thought they were going to be, and their businesses aren't what they thought it was going to be. It's like it's never what they thought it was going to be. But yet they have everything they ever wanted. And so sometimes it's better, well, I mean, it depends on you, and you'll have to know your own personality and know your own life. But I'm looking at this Knight of Coins, and I'm like, right now, it's better for you to maybe loosen up that grand vision a little bit and just really take it on a day-to-day basis right now and allow yourself to transform and allow yourself to change and to go through a more of a whimsical time frame in your life. Otherwise, you're going to probably get to a point of burnout or a point of feeling frustrated with a feeling of stagnation, not really understanding what's going on, because you're not like this robot that consistently and can always go full force all the time. Okay, let's pull out some oracle cards and finish this off really quick. I'm going to start with an animal spirit card. The Panther spirit, reclaim your power. Has a lot to do with this the 4 of Cups and the 9 of Wands. If I could say it right. 4 of Cups and the 9 of Wands. Reclaiming your power, because you're not allowing just anything. You're not going to accept just anything. And that's it. That's pretty final, you know? Balance, spirituality, and practicality. Yeah, this is definitely the practical side. It's a mystical moment in time, but you're still going day by day. You're still living and making the best choices that you know how to make on a day-to-day basis. No surprise there. I'm seeing you being really flexible right now in spite of all the fixed energy that's in the sky right now. Never-ending story. Probably, actually, I don't think this is a continuation of a never-ending story. I think it's the end of a never-ending story with that death card there. Something that has just been going on and on and on and on in your life, something that just never quite seems to come to a close. I feel like this is a time when this chapter is really, really going to come to an end. Okay? All right, pile number 1, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much. You guys know I love you. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, pile number 2, you guys selected the lemon calcite. So let's go ahead and take a look here at what comes through. Four of Coins reversed, 8 of Swords, Temperance, Hanged Man, and the Knight of Cups. Okay, so this week seems pretty mild with these 5 cards. I don't know that there's going to be a huge event. You know, we do have this Mars coming into that conjunction with Uranus in the North Node. But for you guys, I think that's gonna kind of be more of a... The word that's coming to my mind, what I'm hesitating to say, is I'm going to do it anyway. Because I look at this Knight of Cups, his back is turned to the Hanged Man and the Eight of Swords. Now you're in this process of releasing things. You're in this process of healing, of forgiveness. You're in this process of kind of acknowledging your own rigidity and your own stubbornness with things, and kind of like working through that and saying, okay, well, I don't want to be this stubborn person. I don't want to be the person that's like X, Y, and Z. So, okay, I'm going to modify my behavior. I'm going to actively try in a certain way. And that's great. But there's still like some element of not being able to see some stuff. And it's almost as though you have an awareness that you don't see things. It's like you know that you don't know stuff, but you're going to do it anyway, Knight of Cups. There's like this Knight of Cups is really giving me this like deterministic and quite ambitious feeling, which is odd because I don't normally feel that with the Knight of Cups. But I look at him, his back is like straight as an arrow. He's kind of got this like chest that's sort of puffed out. He's very proud. Leo season, right? There's a lot of pride. And he feels like really ready to share himself with the world, even though he knows that he's not like fully developed. And I think that's really great, because if we waited until we knew everything for us to do something, we would never do the things. So this takes a lot of courage, I suspect, of like knowing that you're not fully complete. You're not fully healed. You're not fully in the understanding or in the wisdom. And yet I'm going to do it anyway. It's like a total embrace of this Eight of Swords, knowing that you're trapped in some way, knowing that you have a blindfold on, knowing that you're feeling suffocated and stuck somewhere. And yet you just sort of right? Like what I'm saying is like, you have no idea how this is going to work, right? So I'm getting the image of like a travel example, right? Let's say you want to be someone who's location independent, right? So you can travel all over the world and do your stuff. But right now, the only thing that you can really do is like quit your job, but maybe you don't really have a job on the other end of that. And I'm looking at this Knight of Cups. I'm like, this Knight of Cups is like going to quit its job, whether it has another job lined up or not. That's how determined it feels to me. Now, I'm not necessarily recommending that. I don't want you guys to put yourself in any kind of dire straits or anything. But, it's kind of like okay, I'm aging myself. I don't know if you guys remember the episode of Friends, like the fear, where like Rachel is wanting to quit her job at the restaurant and Joey's like, you don't have the fear, so she goes in and she quits, but then she has no money and no source of income, right? But then she gets this amazing job working in fashion and like what she always wanted. And I kind of am like feeling that it's like prematurely doing something without any idea or any clue as to how the heck this is all going to come together, maybe even putting yourself on the line, maybe actually purposefully putting yourself into a state of fear specifically to propel you or to motivate you in order to go do something. Like we know that hunger is so critical in a lot of ways. Now you can succeed without that hunger, but usually the people who are the most hungry are and I don't mean actual like starvation hunger. I mean like that, like the hungry, motivated, ambitious person, but those are the people who are more likely to succeed because their inner world is like really pushing them. And it's not necessarily a desperation, although there may be a twinge of that. It's more deterministic than that. And yet with this Temperance, I'm seeing that all is well. All is well, all is good. If you lose some water from one cup, don't worry, another cup will just pour in. Don't worry about the inflow and the outflow. It'll all even out. It will all work out. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And with the Hanged Man in the reverse, I kind of feel like you're coming down off this tree, whether you're ready or whether the world is ready or not. Like you're just kind of taking control of something that maybe you've allowed yourself to be out of control of for too long. And I think you're tired of like surrendering and waiting and allowing the universe to do its la-di-da, like you're just tired of that. And you're like, you know what? I would much rather be the one to like grab the bull by the horns, like I'd rather do that even though I'm not ready, but I'll learn. Like, don't worry, I'll learn. And you'll learn. Okay. The World. 8 of Coins reversed. The Lovers reversed. See, Justice and Temperance, I love when they come out together because there is that quality of everything equaling out, everything balancing out. And then the 7 of Wands. Okay. So first of all, with this card here, I'm definitely sensing that this is not like a logical time. With Mercury and Leo does not really operate in logic. It's more like from the heart, and the heart space does not always speak the same language as the mind, but yet it is the heart space that is a kind of, in many ways, a higher intelligence. And that's where this is all really coming from. It's coming from this notion that you value one thing more than another thing. You value your freedom more than security, if security means something stagnant or boring. Okay? As an example, you value love and passion, right? Or passion over ease, even though passion is usually harder, right? I kind of feel like you may be choosing initially the harder path, or the path that's harder initially, but it is ultimately going to lead to a better life. Now with the World card, you're setting something in motion here by doing this. Remember what I said by this is a really subtle week? Maybe it's not as subtle as I thought. Seems to be perfect Mars coming into a conjunction with Uranus energy. Now, this may be just something that is happening internal. I'm not saying that you're officially making all these concrete external changes right now. There may be a little bit of a method to the madness, but at the end of the day, I do think that this is a week where your trajectory changes to some degree. This is the point of finality, or the pivot point that must happen in order for that life that you desire to truly unfold. The minute that you do, that world kind of goes to work of closing out the old and bringing in the new. Now, this was a huge theme through July for the July readings that I did last month, right? It's about closing out, old momentums and initiating a new momentum in a new direction. This is that turnover or that crossover. Now, it's not fast. The world is not fast. It takes time. So there may be a period, like if you prematurely leave something behind, even though you still can't really see, that is okay. But just know that initially it's going to be a little bit rocky. And I sense that with the 8 of Coins reversed, because often this card represents like a flow state to me. And so when it's in the reverse, it's like there's definitely a learning curve. Like you're taking on a new endeavor to master, but you're not a master yet. But that's where it's going, that's where it's headed. And so this work may feel frustrating at first. It's like if you try to start a new business, or if you try to start a new relationship, okay, well, you got to work out the kinks. You got to figure out the flow. You got to figure out how your customers respond. You got to figure out how this person expresses their love and how they receive love, like whatever it is. You have to figure it out. And that will take trial and error. And there will be failures and there will be successes, probably an equal amount of both. Especially with the Justice card, equal amount of failures, equal amount of successes. And together over time, all those failures and successes will clump together and become the basis for your mastery. But right now, you're not a master. So moving forward with humility is going to be important, because if you move forward with arrogance, not pride. Pride is one of those words, like, depending on how you use it, right? But let's be more clear, like with arrogance. If you move forward with arrogance, you're going to get shot down real hard. But you move forward with humility and everything becomes possible. With the Lovers reversed, now, the Lover's energy can, it does feel like a choice. But I'm also kind of sensing that there is a relationship. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship, but there's you and there's another person. And I see this mountain often as like a wedge coming in between two people. And the wedge is probably the decision that you've made. Sometimes we have to do things that are in our own best interest that's not good for someone else. It shakes up their world. It shakes up their stability. It shakes up the predictability of their world. 7 of Wands, you're probably going to have to defend your choice. The problem with defending a choice like this is that you don't really have a good reason to offer somebody. You can't just say, I followed my heart. Not everyone always accepts that. They don't understand that. I once broke up with someone, and he was like this great guy. And I was like, look, I don't really know what the choice is. It's like, you're a great person, but I know that if I stayed with you, it wouldn't be what my heart wanted. And that's a hard thing to tell someone, and it's hard for them to accept that you're telling them that your heart is guiding you completely in the opposite direction of them. And sometimes that's the way it is with life. What the heart wants is not what's right in front of you. Sometimes that's okay, right? To have your world and to have, I'm not telling you to like break up your family or anything, this is not necessarily that dramatic in that sense, for most of you anyway. I feel like it's more about work, or it's more about how you spend your free time, or more about how you spend your time in general. But you are going to have to defend it, and people aren't going to really like how you're defending it. But that's not really your problem, I don't think either. I think that's just what it needs to be. Everyone in Leo season wants what they want. And when those things don't align, it's really easy for certain people to reach out and try to cling and try to get other people to conform to what they are wanting. So, but I do, and I believe, I feel strongly, like one of the themes for July that came out was, we're making choices that will ultimately be lucrative. Sometimes we have to take these kinds of risks in order to walk the more lucrative path. And there will be greater levels of abundance and prosperity on this path, because your heart will be more connected to the process of this path. It's just what you need right now. That's it. It's just what you need right now. Let's pull out some oracles. Claim your independence. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this cat looks so much like my cat Annie, and she really is like the most independent cat I have ever had in my whole life. She's like the epitome of what it means to be independent and the epitome of what it means to be a cat, like every cat stereotype ever. But sometimes, like, it's Leo season, cat season, you just have to like set those boundaries and close this door and open this door, like go do what you want. You don't want to sit on someone's lap, well, then go sleep in your little cozy bed, you know, or you don't want to work at this job. Okay, well, figure out a new place you want to go. You don't want to be in this relationship. Okay, go find someone else you want to be with, you know, like it really is just as simple as that. And I think that the actual decision is simple. It's carrying out that decision that's challenging, but the decision is like, boom, like no-brainer stuff. That's why this is kind of a little bit of a premature action, because it's like when you know, you don't know how, you don't know where, you don't know when, you don't know by which means, but you know. And you'll figure out the rest later. You got your own 9 lives here. Nothing is yet set in stone. Yeah, you're kind of writing your destiny as we speak. Like in this exact moment, you are writing your destiny. So what do you want this story to be? It can literally be anything. You are actually walking forward into a blank slate. It can be anything. Final card. Soulmates. Beautiful. You're definitely going to be connecting with the right people. Yes, it can be romantic soulmates. Yes, it can be professional, creative soulmates. It can be having a child. It can be, you know, any and all sorts of things. But it's a path that you are genuinely going to be connected to. Okay? All right, pilots, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much. You know, I love you. Excuse me. Have a great week. Bye-bye. Hello, pile number 3. You guys selected the fluorite. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Do a quick shuffle first. Okay. Excuse the cough. Okay. Page of Wands reverse, 3 of Cups, 6 of Coins reverse, Empress, and the 5 of Swords. Well, I love that the 3 of Cups and the Empress are in the upright position, because to me, these are like my Garden of Eden cards, right? These are my cards that truly represent abundance and prosperity at their finest. This is more celebratory, right? This is more like celebrating the good things and being with people that you love and that really make you laugh, and, you know, that really just raise your vibration, because they're just really great people and you love being around them and you love hearing their stories, and they make your heart feel that love. And the Empress is your own true sense of stability. There's a lot of creation that comes through the Empress. She's kind of, you know, like the doorway of something being pushed through into reality, being pushed through into the actual physical realm. And I feel like there are things that you are actively working to manifest, but there seems to be some hang-ups and struggles sort of sprinkled in here throughout this process. I mean, I think ultimately you feel grounded and rooted in the potential of your goals and path and whatever, but Page of Wands reverse, I feel like there's confusion with the next step. And maybe it's not confusion so much as it is resistance or hesitation to take the next step. And maybe these two represent like a dream, okay? Although I do think you are in a creation mode, right? You actually truly are bringing something to fruition. And it will be lucrative, absolutely. It does seem to be I don't know why I'm feeling this. If the Empress was reversed, this would have come through right away. But for some reason, I feel like the Page of Wands is like the inner child of the Empress. Like, you know in your intellectual mind that you are this powerful, person, and like you can create things, and yes, you can bring things into your reality, and like, okay, you know that. I think your brain accepts that. But the inner child part of you, this Page of Wands part of you, it's kind of like, hold on, I'm kind of looking at this card too as well, because I'm kind of seeing like there's an issue with the give and take of something. The reason why I'm hesitating, I'm talking so slow, is because there's something that came to my mind, but I'm afraid to say it, but I'll just say it anyway. It's like this inner child is afraid that people won't like you enough, or they won't value what you're doing enough, to the point where it's the projection of that is preemptively discouraging you from finishing, or from continuing, or from carrying on. Will they like me enough? Will they value it enough? Will they care enough? Please pay me for it. Please give me the money. Please pay attention to me. Please see me. Please. I'm getting like it's not a desperation, because it's coming from an inner child place. So it's not like an egoic desperation. It's like an unresolved trauma thing. And this creation that you're bringing forward is actually specifically occurring for you in your life right now. Like the reason why this is coming into your life and why you felt compelled to create this thing was specifically to heal that part of you. Because for what's happening later on in your life, I don't know how far in the future, but further on down the line, this can't be a player anymore. It can't continue to rise. This sort of psychological pattern must be broken, because this is preparation for what you're going to be called to do later. Because I think in terms of like now versus what's coming, this may feel big now, but I think this is like small potatoes now. Super small potatoes compared to what your task is going to be in the future. So if you feel this way with like a small potatoes kind of thing, right, it's the perfect opportunity for you to really heal it, and to really come to grips with it, and to understand it, and to offer that part of you a lot of love, and to do it anyway. You're going to do it anyway. You will overcome this, or you will do it in spite of it. The problem is of doing it in spite of this like wounded child thing. The problem with that is that it will come back later with the bigger thing. And with the bigger thing, there's going to be even more fear, because there's a lot more riding on it. I do feel like there's an issue of self-worth here. Now, this Mars coming conjunct Uranus and North Node, probably activating that substantially. But look, guys, the North Node, right? The nodes kind of wobble a lot, but generally speaking, they always move in like a retrograde direction, right? They're always going, like if you look at a round chart, they're always going in the clockwise rotation, where all the planets go in counterclockwise. But when a planet goes retrograde, it also goes in that clockwise position. So here's the node, here's Uranus. They come together on the 1st of August. And then on August 24th, Uranus goes retrograde. So it's going to actually retrograde very, very close, within a few degrees of that North Node. And it's going to be like that for like the end of the year, until Uranus goes direct again. So there's like this window that's opening up here near the end of August for this kind of stuff to get fully resolved, right? Because that self-worth is such a Taurus thing. So this is the beginning of that process of completely erasing or completely healing the part of you that is so afraid. Another page reversed. King. I love that the king, look at these. These are like so similar, right? So abundant. Lot of Taurus energy. We've got 2 Taurus cards coming out, one in front of the other. And this is also Taurus because of the Venus here too. Okay. And then the 10 of Wands. All right. Now, I feel like this King of Coins is like an equal with you to some degree, as someone that you really respect, a colleague maybe, or a spouse, someone whose opinion truly matters. Now, when they look at you, they see you as an empress. Not clear as day. Clearly you're an empress. Clearly you have that strength. You have that ability to bring pretty much anything into creation that you want. And I think in a way they are in awe of you. And I think that means something because you respect them back, because a King of Coins and an Empress are a pretty great match together. Okay, now it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. In fact, it's probably not romantic. And even if it may be someone with whom you have a romantic relationship with, this particular, card configuration does not feel like this is about the romance part of it. It's about the humanness of it. And this King of Coins, since there's mutual respect, it's like the more and more respect they offer, or the more and more they support you, the stronger you feel. And I do think it's going to be really, really, really important to allow other people to really help you, because right now we have so much. We've got a lot of Aries, we've got a lot of Taurus, we've got some Cancer and some Leo, but Leo, Taurus, Aries especially have so much to do with like the self-reliance, taking care of yourself, doing it yourself. And to have Saturn in the 11th house or in Aquarius, which is all about other people and humanity and society, there's just not a lot going on in the signs of like us and other people. And the one sign where we do have something like that, we've got Saturn, and that's kind of can offer some blockages or some difficulties or obstacles there. So, there is that tendency to say like, no, I can do it all on my own, and no, I don't need your help, and no, like it's okay, and no, and no, and no. And you can push that stuff away. But I highly recommend you don't, because this is going to be incredibly beneficial for you in terms of your healing process, so that it won't become a problem in the future. All right. Now with the Hierophant, again, this is what I was saying, like, in your intellectual mind that you are in fact the Empress, and that this inner child is not, it's just a response to something that happened when you were younger. We know that. I think we've gone through enough healing. There's enough psychological stuff out there on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all the social media, right? There's enough out there now that, I think we got a pretty good idea of where we're coming from. And the Hierophant is that reminder that you're always welcome to come home, or you're always welcome to come back to base camp, always welcome to come back to who you truly are, behind all of the personality and behind all of the preferences and behind all of the life experiences. Behind all of that, you exist like as this dot of consciousness. I always kind of think of our consciousness as like a star, and it kind of resides within us, brings us to life, but that is what they call the seat of the soul, right? That's what the Hierophant represents. Excuse me, I'm sorry. That's what the Hierophant represents. And there's like this coming home. And it's going to feel really good. And that's what Leo season is really good for, right? Also Aries, Jupiter and Aries. It's really, really, really good for being in touch with your most authentic self. And the authentic self is still even beyond or behind even the childhood trauma, right? Because the authentic self, the soul, is just the observer, not necessarily the experiencer. And it's like you're observing the experiences that your avatar is having. And so this is just an experience, but you yourself are impenetrable. And so this is what they mean when like they say, remember who you are. This is what they mean. Remember that you are not your traumas. You are not your wounded child. You are not your pain. You are not any of these things. They're just things that happened. And I feel like this is an opportunity for a lot of that to be erased. Which, again, like I say, like I do think you're being prepared for much bigger things. And the things that you are birthing right now are just the tip of the iceberg for you. Like we haven't seen the best of you yet. Like it's only just beginning. And we have this beautiful Queen of Wands directly underneath the Empress, which to me, she's like my bulldog. She just freaking goes after it. You know, these pages over here, they're very hesitant for the doing of things. They're hesitant for the taking of the steps. Now, when you have hesitation with something, you can't be surprised when other people feed off of the energy of your hesitancy. Meaning maybe, okay, like let's say you're putting something new out to sell. You have a new product, whatever. And you have that hesitation, you have that resistance to it. Oh, I hope they buy it. I hope they really like it. That right there probably is gonna block. And I'm not saying it's a guarantee, you know. Maybe some of you will have like huge sales or whatever. I'm just using that business thing as an example, but you know, you'll have huge level of interest to hopefully ease your mind about your own self-value. But if you don't have a lot of interest at first, it's important for you not to internalize it and say, see, look at what this means. No, because it's probably just a response to your energy. It's going to depend on how strong your energy is, how strong that signal is that you're emitting. And our conscious mind is not very good at emitting signals. You know, that's why we listen to like hypnosis things when we're sleeping, right? Because we know we got to get to like the real brain, like the real part of us. That's always the one that's really driving all the conscious mind's decisions. Okay, so yeah, I mean, that's really, so if the things don't come in right away, just know that your signal is a little bit off. You don't have to take entire or full responsibility, but you have to take enough responsibility to say, okay, I need to make an adjustment. And see, the Queen of Wands is like, okay, great, let's make an adjustment. Boom. Because I know you're ready for that. I know you're ready. You know we're ready. We all know we're ready. And you're willing to do the work, 10 of Wands. Now, whenever the 10 of Wands comes out, I often see him like going back to this castle back here and like building, you know, like a new wing of his house or kind of making certain improvements with his home, you know. And I see that this is work that's well worth it. And it's work that you're willing to do and that you're actually happy to do to some degree. It's not work that like you dread doing, like, oh my gosh. Like, no, like you enjoy doing it because it makes your life better. And so this is a great attitude with the Queen of Wands because she's the one that's like, all right, let's go pick up the sticks. Come on, let's go outside. We're going to go pick up the sticks. We're going to bring them back. We're going to make it happen. It's that inner, like project manager, I guess we could call it. It's like, all right, do this. All right, do this. This comes next. Boom, 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 boom. And that's how you make a lot of things happen. You're kind of at this precipice right now of making a lot of things happen. It's just a matter of really getting over that hump. And I suspect that this is the week or a week or in the upcoming weeks, probably before Mars leaves Taurus or just as it enters into Gemini, where you're really going to start to like say, okay, I'm over that hump now, you know? As Mars finishes off that conjunction with Uranus in the North Node, there is this essence of like things being different. Okay, things are different. Your path is different. Your life is changing and evolving. And that Uranus North Node is really revolutionizing this track. It's revolutionizing and throwing in some curveballs. And some of you are like, wow, I never considered that as an option for myself. I never thought that this would be the direction that I would go. And yet here I am. All right, let's pull out some oracle cards to finish this off. Starting with an animal spirit. It says set healthy boundaries. Okay. Well, healthy boundaries probably with yourself. Because we don't want our inner dialogue to become too dominant if it's hurting us, if it's preventing us, if it's holding us back. You have to learn how to set boundaries with yourself just as much you have to learn how to set boundaries with other people. It has to be done. Step out of your comfort zone as if you had a choice. I don't think you have a choice. It's inevitable. Last but not least, deep knowing. Exactly. A deep knowing that you got to do what you got to do. A deep knowing that this is your path. A deep knowing that you are valuable. You do have that self-worth. A deep value or deep knowing that it will be well received. A deep knowing that in some way, shape, or form, this is your destiny. It's kind of a point where destiny and free will meet, is what I'm sensing. Okay? All right, pile 3. You guys know how much I love you. Wish you nothing but the best. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.